a témai munkatársa, és ez pedig a CEE Animation fórumunk lesz. Tavaly is volt egy hasonló jellegű fórum, de akkor csak magyar résztvevőkkel, most pedig a CEE Animation képviselői itt vannak velünk, már harmadik éve itt tartják a meetingüket a témánál, az egyiket évközben, és most csatlakoznak hozzánk ehhez a beszélgetéshez. A beszélgetés angolul fog zajlani, szóval reméljük mindenki tud angolul. So I repeat myself in English. So welcome everybody, and thank you for coming to our roundtable. Last year we had a similar roundtable, but only with Hungarian participants, and this year we will have it with the participants of CEE Animation, which was previously known as Visegrad Animation, and they will join us to have this discussion about how to finance animated shorts and animated series. And GELLEY Bálint, animation director and producer of KRASNOHORSKY Animation, will moderate the discussion, and he's also a member of our children's jury this year. So I will give the floor to him, and let's begin with the roundtable.
Yes, hello everybody. Let me introduce today's panel. We're going from that end. Gábor OSVÁTH. He's a Hungarian producer of both live action and animation films. He's the head of Filmfabrik and Boda companies, and he's a producer of films by Réka Bucsi, RUTAR, and for example, Balázs Turai's Fall of Rome, which you can see in the competition on this festival. Next to him is Jožko RUTAR. He's a graduate of Faculty of Economics. He's a producer of Star Agara with 4 features and numerous short films who were presented in Venice, Cannes, Locarno, and San Sebastian. He's a... do I need a mic? Can you hear me? Or? Yeah, all right. Okay. So he's a managing director of the Slovenian Film Center. It's a funding body for film. EAV graduate and EFA member, and he's a consultant and a university teacher. Next to him, Juraj KRASNOHORSKY is a producer at Artichoke, a film production company based in Bratislava, Slovakia. He's a director and a producer of animated, documentary, and feature fiction films. He's a Maya and EAV graduate, a board member of CEE Animation, co-director of the CEE Animation Workshop. And next to me is Matija ŠTURM. He's a freelance producer, a general manager of CEE Animation, chairman of DESAF, Slovenian Animated Film Association. He was the executive producer of Koya short films by Koya Saxida, and other animated and documentary projects and educational workshops. So they are our guests today. And I will start off by the question about our region. How do you see, what is the demand of Central and Eastern European animation in the local market? And what do you think, how the rest of the world needs the animation of this region?
Thank you, Bálint. Like, I will be very short for the beginning. Like, the demand of the domestic market, or this market in this territory. I think we can say in brief that the market is not very well developed. So there is a lack of the information, and there are not very well established channels for the distribution and sales of the animated works here in the region. And on the other side, what we do in the CEE Animation is that we would like to support with different tools, mechanisms, and different programs the possibilities to co-produce. Because we see that usually the domestic financial sources are not enough when we produce the projects which are in the high demand on the developed market, as well as at the domestic. Here I mean especially the TV production, TV series, and the features. So we see one of the priorities in the field of stimulating and establishing a better conditions to cooperate, to establish some kind of models of reciprocity here in the region.
Juraj, please. So, hello, thank you very much for coming today and for having us on this panel. So, just as a brief introduction to this whole discussion. So, where this whole CEE animation thing started was since 7 years we are meeting in Trzeboń on a pitching platform that some of you might know and some of you have already participated there with projects such as Gábor, for example. The Visegrad Animation Forum became the biggest meeting point of producers of animated content in the Central and Eastern Europe over the last 7 years. And as we were meeting and discussing together the producers, we really understood that there's a huge potential for growth of the market, growth of the potential of co-producing and so on. We of course all know the huge history of animation in our region, in all the different countries over the past 50 years, the famous TV series that we all know, like in Slovakia, we grew up on Polish and Hungarian TV series, and you probably know also the Czechoslovak TV series from your childhood here in Hungary. So there's a huge history on which we base this, and also there's a huge history of artistic short films in our region, in the Balkan region, also Poland and so on. So this is one thing we really have. It's a heritage, and we build on this. But after the transformation of the studio systems, which were before the 90s in the hands of the state, and it became private studios and so on, there was this big transformation, and we are still kind of in the process of becoming on the level of the Western studios and having the potential of the Western studios. We are slowly getting there. There are of course huge successes. Just to mention the short films that come from Hungary, from Moment, that are super famous all over the world. Also a few feature films start to pop up here and there. In Poland, only in the recent years, there were 2 big feature films, Van Gogh, and this year the new film Another Day of Life had the premiere in Cannes. So we really see there, you have Ruben Brandt that is coming out in Hungary. So we really see that there is potential for doing big, successful movies that can travel on the wide market. So the potential is definitely there. But we understood that what we need to develop is more cooperation, more co-production, because animation today is wherever in the world basically it's not possible to do it only in one country. It costs too much, and it needs too many professionals that usually you cannot find them in one country. I know there are like exceptions to this. The Ruben Brandt is typically an exception where really only one country was able to do a big movie, but we know it's a kind of a special case. So this whole structure started to grow as we added more countries to it. We needed a change of a name. That's why we changed Visegrad into CEE, because we have now around 21 countries of our region that join this movement. These are countries that not all of them are in the European Union, but all of them are in the media program. And the media program gives possibilities of financing for all of us, where we can do things together. Also co-productions of films, but also events such as training events or market events and so on and so on. So this whole thing starts to build. It's really big. I will have a short presentation later about the workshop, for example, because that's our new thing. But not to make this too long, we are filled with we are convinced that there is much more that we can do in this region in terms of a bigger marketplace. So sharing our films around, that the televisions take Hungarian TV series to be broadcasted in Poland, Czech Republic, Slovakia, and other countries. Also for the feature films to be co-produced and travel around, and also for the short films to be more shown around this whole huge region. So, yeah, this is from me, Jožko.
Yes, hello to everybody. Thank you for having us here. And the other thing which when we discuss what is also urgent to do is, as I was a part of a system of decision makers, so I'm ex-director, not actual director, is that we noticed that we need to change not only the landscape on the creative base, but we need to change the landscape or start to change the landscape also on a political and decision-making way, so that we start to educate the decision makers, the people who are financing, about the importance of animation, to put it on their radar, to train them somehow that the principles of the production of animation are completely different to live action or to documentary, that they treat the projects in a different way, to give them more time to be finished, to give them other possibilities, to treat them also in the process of decision making in the other way as they are doing, because most of the systems in all of the countries are established and make on the base of live action films and not on animation. And animation has some specifics, and one of the goals, of course, is also to promote and educate and to tell the people to understand the difference between animation and other sorts of the production. And the same way is also to educate and to promote and to connect the broadcasters. So we have many TVs in this region, and but they don't share the information. They do not commonly invest into the production, and they could, especially in children or youth programs and so on. So these are some more strategical goals we are following and doing probably on a long term.
Yes, I would like to add that it's very similar in Hungary. I think there is a demand, or there would be a demand, but part of our job is to help the audience realize that there would be quality Hungarian animation, both children and artistic short films. But most of all, the funds and the TVs must realize this. But the filmmakers are already there, the companies are already there. We just have to work together and make them realize that the decision makers that it's a thing. And we are, I think, a little behind our region, and so we must work on it.
Just want to, because we didn't probably really reply to your question, like what is the demand for the animation for this region in the world? Where I had a presentation in Annecy this year. It was a special year for us in Annecy because we were, as soon as we established this name CEE Animation, and we started to push it as a brand, like for people to realize that there is a huge region which has something historically and maybe even, I would say, aesthetically in animation in common, and it can be all included under one brand, and it becomes much more stronger because it gains in visibility. And media, Creative Europe media, they understood this immediately and invited us to share their big stand on the biggest animation market, which is Annecy MIFA. And suddenly we really discovered that people started to come and understand what we are doing. And I had a large presentation where I was able to show people the connections and mostly the famous IPs from the past. And suddenly they understood, like, wow, okay, all this comes from this region, I know this. They were not connecting, but now they start to understand this as a brand, and we push it as a brand. So the Western Europe really sees a huge potential in us. That's why they also supported us this year with 2 big grants from the Creative Europe to help us to build this structure and to push this forward. So I think right now, really the world is kind of starting to look at us, and they are very interested. Now, the market has very specific demands, and we need to start to meet those demands in terms of content. For example, just a very simple thing. The market needs TV series to have at least 26 episodes. It's a very, very simple technical thing. The problem in our region is that the capacity of local producers and broadcasters who co-finance the TV series for children, they are able to produce maybe 13 episodes over a very long period of time, 2 years or more. And this is one of the problems that we try to speak to the broadcasters and to the funders and everyone involved to make them understand that the market will be interested in our content if we are able to deliver what the market expects. But this is just one simple thing. Another thing to consider is that to access the English-speaking market, we need to produce content in English. This is another thing that we work with and so on. Of course, for animation, it's a bit simpler to dub, but sometimes when the lip sync is too precise, they really expect the lip sync to be actually in English. So, yes.
Yeah, thank you. So what I also experienced in MIFA and other events such as like Cartoon Springboard or 360, that they are very much interested in that case Hungarian projects, because they think that there is something which I'm not even sure that we Hungarians see, that there is some kind of way of how we tell our stories that are unique to them, and I think it's true for the whole region. There is a different kind of storytelling that we use. I think it's partly coming from the historical reasons, and because we behind the Iron Curtain we shared the animation market. And when it collapsed, of course, it in every country it caused problems, and now, as I see now, most of these countries are standing up again after this shock. So there is. What do you feel is the strength of our region, and what is, on the other hand, the weakness? So what could be a solution for us to compete or to get there where the West is, or even worldwide?
For sure, we didn't mention before, but I personally think that the biggest strength of our region is the talents we have. We have a lot of young, talented people, a lot of young, talented animators and storytellers, and of course, on the other side, we don't have, or we did not succeed to establish the supportive playground, for them. There is not enough of financing to go into the production of feature-length films. They are more rare than usually practiced. So, on the field of short animation, I think we are in a level of the West, and I think that also the Western Europe, they are aware that there are many talented directors, animators in this region, and they are willing to search. In my career, which is almost 20 years in filmmaking, I witnessed once something similar. It was in the beginning of the millennium when Eastern European cinema came on European level. You know, if you remember the new Romanian wave or new Hungarian wave or new Polish cinema, the ex-Yugoslavia cinema. Before year 2000 there was nothing, and then suddenly it started to appear, and in couple of years it was a total boom. And I see personally the same potential here in animation at the moment. So we have a lot of bubbling talent who just need the infrastructure, who just need the support to explode and show their talent.
Yeah, we had foreign producers as guests on a workshop that we organized last year. There were 26 producers from 19 countries, I think, and on the other side we had these experts, experienced producers from Ireland and you know, from other countries and so on. And when the participants, the producers, showed them the content they are working on, they were all absolutely amazed. They were that was their first reaction, like, wow, the talent that you have here, it's incredible. We know a little about it in the Western Europe, but we see that you have a huge potential, huge talent. And then the second thing that especially this very well established Irish producer Mohan explained, she said that 20 years ago Ireland was in a very similar position as she sees all this region is today. And with some structural changes, some cooperation between broadcasters and financiers and studios and so on, they managed to become what they are now, one of the leading countries for animation in Europe, with studios such as Cartoon Saloon and films that you all know, like Song of the Sea and so on. It's a huge industry today. So she was really positive about what we are doing and about the potential and about where we are heading. So we just have to follow those good examples, I think.
Matija, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, maybe one thought more from the production-wise side. I think that, as Jožko and Juraj already mentioned, I agree with all that comments. But as a weakness or a threat, if we look in the perspective of the development of the whole area of the animation industry here in the region, is that I think we should take the good samples, the case studies and the knowledge from the more developed markets, not to forget to develop all the segments of the industry, not only the production capacities. The talent and the originality is not under the question at all, but I think we should be very aware of the value of this content we are able to deliver. So not to forget also about the value and the importance of the IPs, how to protect the content we are here able to deliver, and how to develop all of the other segments. Animation is especially very usable also in all of the other segments which can be monetized and economically exploited, I think. So how to develop all the marketing, promotional, merchandise, and other products which can also influence a lot the sustainability of the sector here in the region.
Yes, what I would add, what I feel that there's a lack of professionals. I don't know what about your country, but in Hungary, it's sometimes questioned that there are a lot of talent, but the very well-educated professionals are lacking right now. I think it's because of many people after the system change stopped working in animation, so there's a gap. For example, with just animators who can drawing animation in the highest level. I don't know, do you have these kind of problems in your country? I think it's, and I think what could be a solution for us and what actually we are working on is to not just to have like a cooperation between our countries where we can share these professionals and educate professionals for such level of professionalism. And also what I think it's a problem is that every country in this region has a different kind of system of how to fund films. This talk is mainly about short films. It was announced. I think in short films we are kind of doing well in this region. Or I don't know, Gábor, can you add something, because you are very experienced in producing short films.
I just did a sad face. That's all. No
okay. So overall, because we have the capacity to make short films, as you said, at the same level as Western animation. But when it comes to bigger productions like TV series or feature films, there is a lack of talent. And of course, like there are schools that are helping the situation. For example, IES. So there is a change that's coming slowly but surely. But we still lacking right now. So we don't have the production capacity of Western Europe, and all our system is so scattered. So I think what would be a big problem to solve for our region is to have similar funding structures and a talent pool that we can share. Do you agree that would help us?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's all connected with your first question and market demand on the global scale. I think it's a kind of it reflects the production capacity situation here. Short films are a good showcase, also to be seen on the international market, but economically they are not very sustainable source for the production studios and for the freelancers. So I think that's very connected with building up the conditions where the animation industry will be more attached to the projects which are economically more effective. And that's, again, TV series, features, they can generate more of income and somehow guarantee that the production studios are able to produce, to employ, or to contract the talent and the creators, and that's like a circle of all of that segments, which is the kind of guarantee that also the high level experienced talent and the graduates from the universities and from schools will have the opportunity to be involved into the process immediately and not to go to the Western countries or change the profession after the graduation.
I would just add I think that if you realize that you don't have enough animators, it's a good thing actually. It's a good sign, because that means that you are doing projects. And so first of all, that's not really a bad thing. So to see it positively, okay. Of course, to train animators, that's the responsibility of the educational system, and this rests on the shoulders of each country individually. But I know that in Hungary you are doing really well with very good schools that you have here, and we can see the talent that comes out of that, and the short films that come out of that. But I think we should not get fooled by the short films and the success of the short films, because it's a very different thing to work on a TV series or a feature film and to work on a short film. We have the experience with Gábor, worked together on the film of Lucatot, and we can basically say that she's a crazy person and did the whole film alone. But this is not something that it's a great success. It's a great film. It was in Cannes. It traveled around. So Hungary and also other co-producing countries, we can be really proud of that film. But this is not a systemic thing that we can build an industry on. it's something that we can showcase. It looks good, but the co-production is really the kind of the key to solve this problem, because at the same time we can share resources, financing, and at the same time we can share the professionals. So if there are not enough professionals in Hungary, you can get them in other places through co-production. So this needs to, you know, at the same time kind of like rise in all the segments at the same time, like education, filling new talent in the system, and the financing bodies understanding that they should put more money because there is more work and so on. There's a real economical logic in all this, because animation is employing a lot of people. So we need to convince the decision makers also based on these economical arguments that look how many people work in this, and it's a whole industry. So yeah, really the co-production is the key to pass from the level of the short films, which is really talent-based question, to TV series and feature films, which is really a question of industry. But the thing that we are lacking, in my opinion, are producers who are experienced enough to make the connection between the different countries and go around the bureaucratic problems of each country's financing bodies, which are not harmonized, we know that, but it's really the role of the experienced producer to do this. And I think we are lacking this mostly. So the key to that is professional education and networking of the producers, so that they learn how to work together between several countries. It's a difficult job, it needs to be learned, it takes years, but I think there is a way.
Okay. So, and what do you? So what I also see as a problem right now is that we are part of the European Union, but since we don't have,
And you see this as a problem?
no, I can continue. But we cannot, as of now. But we cannot because we don't have the same capacity of production. We cannot access a lot of grants that are granted by European Union. Do you have any examples that would? Is there a such project from this region that ever received such funds? Because what I see is most of the, for example, in children's animation, most of the content we are making it just from Hungarian money or own sources. But we don't really use European Union money because we, as you said, we cannot really get to the amount of episodes we need to provide. Do you have any like a case when it is different in this region?
Do you have any?
Not yet.
Okay, so sorry, I will take the mic again. So in European Union, basically there are two places where you can get money for animated films. One is Creative Europe Media, and there are two different funds. One is for feature films, and the other is for TV series. One is called, and there are development money, okay? So it's in the first stage of making the film before the shooting. This is the Creative Europe Media Single Project Development, which is for feature films, and Creative Europe Media TV Programming, which is for the TV series. And then, so this is development money, and then you have production money, which is Eurimage, and that body supports feature films that have at least two co-producing countries, and that are already financed basically it's the last financing that you are asking for. It's 17% of your budget that you can get. So we have examples, and more each year, of animation from our region that is starting to get this money. So I think the very first TV series that got the TV programming development money was a Slovak TV series called Websters. It's a 3D TV series about a family of spiders, and it's in production now. I think they have 7 or 8 episodes that are already finished and slowly finishing the rest. And this was produced and directed by Katarina Kerekasztal from Slovakia, based on the fact that she already did a very successful TV series before without having that funding. And this is also, I wouldn't say a problem. It's normal that they have this kind of conditions in Europe, that you must already be experienced. You must have proven that you are able to do things before you go there and ask. So she only got that money because she already did a TV series before, which was widely distributed even in France and so on. So she had good credit. The same thing goes for the single project development. Actually, we got it on a project that we are now doing between 4 countries: Poland, Czech Republic, Slovakia, and Slovenia. We got together 4 producers, and we put together 4 short stories from a children's book. And we basically, it's a trick because we do short films in 4 countries. We finance short films in 4 countries, and we put them together to make a feature film. And we got media money for development on this project. It's called Of Unwanted Things and People. And then Jurimage, I think there were successful projects this year. There was a Czech puppet or 3D animation called When Mice Go to Heaven. I think that's the title of the project, which got quite a nice amount of money, something like 400,000 euros at Jurimage. But you know, you can see the statistics and so on. So we are more and more successful in getting this supranational European funding, but still we are way behind the statistics of Western Europe. And again, the way to get there to those money is again through the producers, because they need to have the credit, they need to have the experience, they need to collaborate together. Of course, they wouldn't be able to do anything without the talented animators and so on. But let's say we already have the talented animators, now we need more and more of these producers to start working together.
I can mostly talk about Hungary, but I think we have enough producers. It's just the current climate of the funding system doesn't make it tempting, or you know, the Hungarian Film Fund. First of all, just a 1 minute break. I would like to welcome the representatives of the Hungarian Film Fund and the other fund. Can you please stand up? Okay, my point exactly. So we are clear. Okay. But the Hungarian Film Fund, which only funds feature films, makes the producers lazy, because they can finance up to 100%, and it doesn't help co-productions if you get all the money from Hungary. That's how Ruben Brandt was made. Obviously, you have to be that producer to get that amount of money to be able to make a feature animation film on your own. And the other fund only funds TV series and short films, and they give very little money, and we make co-productions. Superbia was financed there from the Hungarian side, etc. But it's also very little and not ideal, and they are not aware of how co-productions work, or it's not in their rules. It's basically it's a gray area. If I do a co-production with these films, I usually just don't tell them everything, and
you don't need to tell them everything.
You just did. I don't know what was the question. Oh yes, I was just adding that I think there are enough producers, but that's why I said we must educate and lobby our funds. And projects like yours, the one with 4 countries, it's one of those projects that will hopefully make a Hungarian Film Fund member jealous of not being included.
Yes.
maybe just to mention very shortly that there is also the important role of the broadcasters here, especially when we speak about the TV programming scheme of the financing from the European Union. And I just now, when we are speaking about the sources from the media, I remember the case of the Project Websters, and I agree with Juraj. Of course, there is the main job is on the producers how to also establish the environment which puts them into the position that they are eligible to apply for the co-financing. And for the TV programming, it is very important that you also show that you already have some of the broadcasters on the board of the project. And they don't demand a really big thing from the producers. I think it is enough to deliver the letters of intent or the letters of commitment from the few of the broadcasters, but I know personally that it was a difficult job to the producer of this project to collect the letters from three, I think, or 4 countries. So this is also some aspect of the production which puts us into the need of this network, not only between the potential co-producers as the private persons and the companies, but also to be somehow into the touch and into the dialogue with the public institutions and private broadcasters, as they are of great importance, not just in the distribution, but also to make us eligible to approach the international funding schemes.
Yes, I think in Hungary we have also a problem with, or like not an ideal situation with broadcasters, because of the law in Hungary, media law. You cannot be funded if your work is not broadcasted in a nationwide broadcaster, and there are a couple of broadcasters that are recognized as nationwide broadcasters, and it's very hard to get them. Even if you offer them your content free, they often turn you down. So there are a lot of cases when things are not made because of the broadcasters' lack of intention, which is a problem. I think for us, we have to work on this. We have to find a solution for this in Hungary. I don't know in your countries what are the situation with these broadcasters, but even the public broadcaster is very. It's not really reliable if they will give you the letter of intent or not for your application.
So I think in general what we do in the CEE Animation through the different activities is also that we try to build up the network of the at least public broadcasters from the region. Some of them are really like interested and are willing to listen. But we are also now, for example, through this training program we are starting in a few months, we are also trying to build the network and also to invite some of them, the representatives of these institutions, the broadcasting institutions, to take part as the participants in the workshop, so they can get more insight, information, and also to build a network with the producers and to exchange the information, so maybe they will understand more the meaning not only of the creation, but also the meaning of the original domestic or the regional works, which are probably very demanded by the audience. That's in general.
Maybe I would like to express something very important here. The crucial in what Matija says is that we try to form a space where best practice can be exchanged, so that the best practice or the practices which are somehow in one broadcaster or in one production country, that the people from that country share their knowledge, share their, of course, successes, but also share their mistakes when they establish some funding scheme, and to learn from successes and to learn from mistakes and to upgrade in such a way because we found out that the people does not communicate. You know, we are in the era of internet where everything is available, but some personal exchange between people is not functioning, and therefore our goal is to create some events where the people will meet, will talk, will exchange their experiences, and find out something new, learn, and try to establish this in their work. And maybe one thing which we did not mention till now, and I think it's crucial, it's the education of the audience. I think that the education of the audience, which will demand the content, will also help us a lot in our goal. You know, I'm very impressed with this center who's educating young people for animation. We don't have something like that in Slovenia in this way. So the education of the audience, I think it's crucial because our kids are growing on the internet, and they are looking more and more just what global providers offer them. So they are looking what Netflix offers them, what YouTube offers them, and I think that one of our goals should be that our kids, first kids, and then when they grow up, also the adults will be able to recognize something what is different, what is quality, and what is original. And what is original, or it has some local trademark. And I think that one of the goals of our association is on this, to establish a trademark and to educate also the audience in this way, so that it is not just Netflix in this world. Of course, it's very important, but it's also some other creativity. You know?
I want to say something very concrete that we try to do with the broadcasters. So it's not like broadcasters are coming to us, begging us to, produce animation for them. It's not like that. So we have a similar situation in all our countries, just like you just mentioned you have in Hungary. The thing is that you need to seduce them. You need to give them some idea, some vision, a proposition that they will say, okay, this is good, we are going to do this. They will not come to us with an idea, a proposition. So what we did already in the past is that we invited some 5 to 10 broadcasters to the Visegrad Animation Forum, and we put them in one room around the table, and we explained them, like, look, this is the situation we are facing. You are part of the problem, but you are also a way to the solution. So first of all, the surprise was that they didn't even know each other. Okay? We would expect the broadcasters in our region to know each other and to share information and to share the content. No, they don't do that at all. Then there's an economical problem, because if we tell them, come and co-produce, like I tell this to the Hungarian broadcaster, come and co-produce a Slovak TV series, they will tell me, it will cost me 500,000 euros. Why would I do that if I can buy your content finished for 2,000 or 3,000 euros? So there's a financial, problem. And at the same time, they will tell me, we only have a limited budget, and we need to spend this budget on our own national Hungarian animated TV series. But then we start to tell them that in your country, you are able to create only a few minutes of animation per year. If you get together, all of you, and start to co-produce reciprocally, you will get a much bigger amount of animation, of animated content. Some of it will be Hungarian, some of it will be Slovak, but if you co-produce, you will also have the decision-making power on the content. So you can say that this should look more like this, so that it will be acceptable for our kids, and so on. So this way they started to understand, like, there is something to do. We are not there yet, but this is, for example, a Scandinavian model that exists since many years. So this is the best practice that Jožko was mentioning. We try to show them, like, look, this is how they do it in Scandinavia. We could do the same thing in our region. We are close. We have, you know, historical links and so on. So there is potential to do it this way. And what was Jožko saying also is that we have to think that what kids are watching, this is forming them for the future. It's forming their opinions, it's forming their taste, and so on. If they watch only Walt Disney and Pixar and this kind of animation, these are great stories and so on, but they don't have the characteristics of maybe something that we have and that is special in our region. So we try to convince the broadcasters to invest more in this co-production and in doing more local content, because we are forming the future audience for our movies, and it's really important to give them the possibility not only to watch Netflix, but to watch some local content. Like when we were kids, we had all those fantastic TV series and shorts that we grew on.
Maybe I will explain one case, what I did do when I was head of the fund. It's not connected with animation, but it's connected with the production. So Slovenia is a very small country, as you know, 2 million inhabitants, and we were thinking how to foster the cooperation between neighboring countries. And at the end, we created, together with the just region of Friuli around Trieste, Slovenia and Croatia, common co-development fund. And we decided these free funds to put annually into this fund 40,000 euros each one. So that's 120,000 per year. That's a small money, actually. And then we divided that money on two parts. One part was the education, where we organized trainings, workshops for the producers. We send the projects to different training courses, and we say that we will divide 60,000 euros to 6 projects in development. And but the only condition was that the project has development money from one country and the partner from at least the other country. So we created, first of all, that producers start to cooperate already in development phase. We created visibility of very good projects. We created awareness on the other neighboring funds about these projects. The second stage was that a lot of these projects came to the production phase, and it was created as a co-production. And the final level was, because they were so recognized internationally already, they already pick up a lot of supranational funds like media, like Euroimage and so on. So we, with a small investment of 40,000 euros per year for 3 years, now it's going on the project, we boost it somehow, and we bring into our industry a lot in our national and also to neighboring countries industry, a lot of projects which were shown in Venice, then Cannes. You know, it's a perfect showcase how with the small actions you can create environment for growth.
Thank you. Well, that would be great for animation as well. Lastly, I would like to ask you if you can explain a little bit about the new project of CEE Animation. The presentation is on, so you can.
Yeah. Okay.
If you can show us what is the CEE Animation Workshop.
Yes, so in very general, okay.
I Oh yeah, it's alright.
So to tell you the possibilities that CEE Animation gives you directly as animators and authors, directors, and producers. There is obviously the pitching platform, which happens every year in workshop. So the pitching platform that happens every year in Třeboň, in Czech Republic, where you can bring your short films, your TV series or web series or whatever kind of series, and also feature films in development stage or in concept idea, to pitch it in front of a wide audience of regional producers, if you look for co-production, but also foreign producers who are coming from France and other countries where you can really start a co-production of your project. Also, there are very interesting prizes to be won, and most of all, it's a great place to get feedback on your project. So I would really like to turn your attention into applying with your projects there. And now the new thing that we started the pilot edition of training for producers, because as I said before, we understood that training the producers is really important for the future of the co-productions and so on. So this is our new activity. It's called CEE Animation Workshop, and it is starting this year for the first time. The applications are open now, so it's the really good moment that I speak to you, because you still have time to apply there. And I would like to tell you a bit in detail what you will get there. So what is the CEE Animation Workshop? It's a year-long program of training. It consists of 3 workshops of 1 week. The first one is in Ljubljana in December, and it's a project-oriented workshop where you come in with your project in development. It can be a short film, it can be a TV series, it can be a feature, and you really work on the script with recognized script advisors, because we all understand that the key thing to success of our animation is always the story, first of all. And you work also on, and you get feedback on your visuals. So you really have the time to work with recognized European experts and getting feedback on developing your project. So it is open for producers who will come with their writer or director, so that you work in teams. And it's open also for hybrid projects, so also, for example, for documentaries that only have animation. Well, it needs to be a substantial part of the film, but it can be also hybrid projects of any lengths and types. And it is also open, we have a few places open for professionals without a project, and we would very like those professionals to be people from the broadcasters, from the film funds, sales agents, different institutions and so on, so that they can understand how animation is really made, who are the people, the players, the actors of animation in our region, in our industry, to really understand and to come back to their countries and be able to support animation in a better way. So what you will get there is, first of all, the tutoring in the film of the content, as I mentioned, as a script consultancy, but you will also get lectures by recognized professionals, that can be sales agents, broadcasters, producers, lawyers, like everything that you need in the production of your film. So the themes will be how to package your project so that when you bring it to even in financing stage, how to package it, to show it to the film funds, how to show it to the to media and to your other co-producers so that it looks sexy. The financing plans, how to think ahead of the marketing, how you will sell your project, because this is one of the most important parts of your application for supranational funding, such as media or Eurimage, is that you need to explain them how you will sell your film when it will be finished. How we will distribute it, and you will also get trained in pitching, and that's the end of the workshop. Actually, there's a big pitching at the end, so you basically bring your project to the market at the end of the workshop. So, as I said, it was 3 6 days workshops, and these are the dates and venues. The first is already in December. The second will be end of March here in Budapest, which we are very happy to organize together also with MOME. We went location scouting this morning, so it looks very good. And there will be a third workshop during the pitching event in Trzebon, during the formerly known Visegrad Animation Forum. So we are putting together these two activities. So it will be a big thing where around 160 to 200 professionals will come to have a look at your project. So these are the costs. The producers with project the costs are 1,800 euros, which can look like a lot, but let me explain. This is a workshop that usually in Western Europe, for this kind of content, for the people who come there, the quality of the script advisors and the experts, and also the locations, which are in very good hotels, so that you have the comfort for networking, for meeting people, for working. The venues that we have, everything that we offer is can be 10 times that price. So this is the first thing to consider. And second thing to consider is that we have scholarships. We offer scholarships, and also national film funds offer possibilities of co-financing. So basically, if you are, clever enough, you can get it basically even for free. So this is really a thing you should consider in when applying. So during the application process, there is a possibility to tick that you want a scholarship, and you need to write a motivation letter to explain why you need a scholarship, and then you might get it. So who should apply? Animation producers with or without a project. We are, of course, looking for animation producers who already have a certain experience, because it's an advanced workshop, and also what we really need to create is a good group of people who will get to know each other, who will work together, and who potentially in the future will make films together. So a certain experience is already required, but again, you don't need to be the top producer, because those don't go to workshops anyway. And industry professionals, such as I mentioned, broadcasters or people from film funds and so on. How to apply? So there's an online application on this address, ceeanimation.eu, and it's now been prolonged until the October 29th. So this is the final deadline, but you still have time to apply. Just have a look at it, and maybe you will see that actually it's for you. We are starting to put the program together. We have actually a lot of names that we think about who will participate as experts and tutors. We cannot talk about most of them because it's not a signed deal, but these are the people who already confirmed, and we know that we will have them. And these are the key people actually that as a participant you will meet them on a daily basis throughout all the workshops. So the script advisors, Phil Parker from UK and Răzvan Radulescu from Romania. Phil Parker is somebody who works with us at Visegrad Animation Forum and always gets the best reviews from the project participants. And Răzvan Radulescu is basically that's the guy who co-wrote most famous, awarded and recognized Romanian movies. And he's working as a script advisor on the most recognized platforms around Europe for script editing. And he also just now co-wrote a feature animated film, so he has a good experience in animation. Then one of the group leaders, because he will be divided in groups, and he will have a very experienced producer as a leader who will advise you on your project in detail. So the first one is Ollivander Ostergaard, who lives in Poland but is originally from Denmark. He worked for a long time in Zentropa. You might know this company as being the producing company of all the Lars von Trier movies. and his last big work was for Platige Image in Poland. He was the main producer of the film Another Day of Life, which is the animation movie that was premiered in Cannes this year. And so among the experts, we all have, for example, Paul Young, who is the head producer from Cartoon Saloon from Ireland, so the producer of Song of Sea. Then Nuno Bernardo, who is a specialist for transmedia content, so we'll be also speaking about new forms of storytelling. Jean-François Lecoeur, who is a very experienced producer from France, from Villemontlandi, which is great because we all understand that doing big animated projects in Europe somehow involves France in the process. So it's good to have the relation with France. And we also have Reka Temper from Hungary, a very experienced producer from cinema. So these are just really a few names. The list is much longer, and we will be revealing the program on the go as we have them confirmed. But I just want to assure you that the quality of the content of the program and what you will get at those workshops is really the best you can get in Europe. So I really encourage you to go to this website and have a look. Thank you.
Thank you. We are out of time, so if anybody has questions, I'm looking at the organizer if we still have time for that. Do we have any questions? Yeah?
Yeah, I have a question. You mentioned streaming services, and now that they are on the rise internationally, not just Netflix, but a lot of other smaller or larger services, do they have any effect on how producers can find or get them as broadcasters or participants in an animation project? Because I know several examples, at least one or two, from Norwegian regions that happen with Netflix.
I think I can so say something. I think what these VOD platforms are a little bit changing the rules of the game, because before that we had these standards that broadcasters gave us, like how long an episode should be, or how many episodes do we need for a series. And with VODs, this is changing because there's no programming really that they have to follow. So it's completely free. So if you watch a series on Netflix, it can have an episode that is 1 hour or an episode that is half an hour, and that's okay with Netflix. So it's actually I think it has an impact on animation as well. I don't know if you have anything to add.
Well, I don't know actually about anybody who managed to do a series or something with Netflix, but I know that everybody says on the market that that's the future and that's where it goes and so on. Well, right now you have to understand that Netflix is something that if they take your project, they take it entirely. Like it's all theirs, and you will get the money to do it. It will be maybe comfortable to do the work, but you have absolutely no control about what happens in how it is shown, if it is shown at all, where it will end up on the big list of all the content that is on Netflix and so on and so on. So Netflix is a special case, but other VOD platforms, I don't really see it as a source of real financing right now. It can become in the future. Of course, everybody thinks about this, that digital, that's the future, that's where we are going, and so on and so on. Just one actually interesting thing that we had a big meeting here yesterday about also the future projects of CEE Animation and so on, and a VOD platform or some kind of like VOD idea to distribute our content, the CEE Animation content, was one of the topics, and one of our colleagues presented really a somehow revolutionary idea on how we could put our content, the CEE Animation, on a VOD platform and to have the distribution. So yes, but not as a financing tool, as a distribution tool.
So basically, so far it's a secondary platform. So mainly we make and sell projects, hopefully, to TVs, and in Hungary we have multiple SVOD and other options like HBO Go or the Telecom Hungary platform, whatever. But that's, as of now, it's just a secondary and additional tool, and but obviously things are changing. Just I would love to see into the future.
Any more questions? Okay, in that case, thank you very much.
Thank
for
you,
this
Bálint.
talk. I think
you.
it was very fruitful. And thank you for coming.
Thank you.